What's up, y'all? All right, you should know the drill by now. This is part 3, even though other Kevin in part 1 said this was going to be the part 2. So this is actually part 2 from what we thought before, but we changed our mind as I mentioned before. This is part 3. We are doing the top right of our bracket. Spent a lot of time. If this is your first time listening, hello, I'm Kevin. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show. Hope you stay along. Might judge you a little bit for choosing to do the right side of the bracket, but all power to you. Competing against our bracket information is showing right now, but this is part 3, and we're just going to go right into the bracket and enjoy the video. We are making the bracket. We want the perfect bracket. We won last year. The pressure's on. We're not really feeling it, but remember, you need to see our bracket, and we're having a little bit of a delay, but now it should be on your screen. That is our bad. Still figuring out technology, but should be down on the screen here. Make sure to join it. Write your story is the password. Follow our Twitter. All the socials should be up on there. And we're excited to see everyone join. And now let's just get right into it. We got the South. Remember, we did the left side of the bracket in part 1. We're going to choose our champion in this video, but we're starting with the South. We got Houston versus Longwood. What are the picks?
Houston.
Yes, it's Houston. Come on.
All right. Yeah, Houston, one of the best defenses. Now we'll go to Nebraska versus Texas A&M, which has a little bit of drama since Nebraska's AD left for Texas A&M.
So this is a little bit more of a. I mean, people think this is kind of a toss up that either of these teams could win, but Nebraska and Tamanaga is a phenomenal player. And of the Big Ten teams, I like Nebraska a little bit more because they're kind of a Cinderella and they're kind of never good at basketball. But Texas A&M's on a run right now, and they are the number 1 rebounding team in the nation. And they're pretty good on defense, and so I'm gonna have Texas A&M kind of winning this one by a landslide because Nebraska's. We talked about Big Ten defenses. If you're privy to this channel, you know how we feel, and so I think Texas A&M wins this.
Yeah, when you have 5 players who average 4.5 or more rebounds per game, it's really hard to beat that, especially a Nebraska team that has not faced the greatest competition. So I do think A&M is the right choice.
One
All right.
one one quick issue I have with Texas A&M is that they shoot a lot of free throws, but their free throw percentage is not very good. They're like top 20 in the nation in free throw attempts per game, and they're like 230th in free throw percentage in the nation. Like they don't hit their free throws when they need to hit them, but their rebounding makes up for it. So expect them to win this one.
Now we go to Wisconsin versus James Madison, the winner, or a team that took a trip to the Big Ten championship in Wisconsin, then James Madison. What are the picks?
Austin, this one's for you.
James Madison is top 20 in both offensive and defensive rating this year. 20th in offensive, 12th in defensive. They are so impressive. Terrence Edwards, averaging 17, 4, and 4, is an amazing player. TJ Biggerstaff, 13 and 9. They're just so good. They scored the 9th most points per game. They average 9 steals per game, which is 16th in the nation. They average 16 assists per game, 24th in the nation. And they're also a top 40 rebounding team. It's remarkable what they're able to do. They shot 37% from 3. They have some very good wins this year. Yes, they have one bad loss against Southern Miss, and their other 2 losses were against App State. But every other game, they were extremely dominant. Most of their wins come in an extremely dominant fashion. While Wisconsin, we don't like the Big Ten. And Wisconsin's had some horrible losses this year in Big Ten play. They have not been as dominant as we'd like to see. They've had some bad stretches during the year. They had a stretch where they were basically 3-8 during an 11-game stretch right before the conference tournament. They were 3-8, and again, they have some bad losses. I'm not necessarily impressed by how they are designed as a team. That loss to Penn State was very bad. They had some losses to some other teams that you would not think. Oh, they lost to Michigan. Wisconsin lost to Michigan. Michigan had single digit wins this year. I'd take James Madison.
Yeah. Let me read you some numbers real quick. Field goal percentage defense. Wisconsin is 299th in the nation, giving up 46% from the field. 3-point percentage defense. They're 334th in the nation. This is out of 365. They give up the points. Teams score the rock on them. They're not good defensively. They turnovers forced per game, they're 234th. Rebounds per game, they're 260th. Now, I don't usually like looking at stats, but those stats are kind of indicative, especially rebounding, of how the season's gone for them. They have a very, very slow pace of play. And James Madison is a high intensity team. Am I right, Austin?
Yes. Yes.
And so James Madison is going to run them up and down the court, and they're not conditioned for it because most Big Ten offenses have a slower pace of play. And so I expect James Madison to win this game.
All right, so we got James Madison. Now we got Duke versus Vermont.
Vermont plays in such
Yeah, I have Duke winning this game.
I agree.
Yeah,
All right.
it's not going to be too difficult for them. They came off a bad loss, NC State, and I think they're a little hungry, so I think Duke wins this.
And now we got the hottest team facing Texas Tech. What's the win? What's the prediction?
I don't want to.
So I'll speak real quick while Austin thinks.
As Austin composes himself
So
as he's currently.
Austin loves Texas Tech. I like Texas.
You know,
Tech.
I'm right there with him.
I like Texas Tech too.
It's the best school in Texas.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What's wrong with it?
But NC State might be the hottest team in the nation. And Texas Tech has not had their interior defensive player, Warren Washington, for a long time. And anybody who watches college basketball knows about DJ Burns right now. So, Austin, talk about Texas Tech a little bit.
Fully healthy, I think they win this game. I'm not going to say easily, but by double digits. With Darian Williams, with Warren Washington, their defensive presence, along with their ability to, Darian Williams shoots 47% from three on 3 attempts per game. He's a remarkable player who also averages a lot of boards. They're a decent rebounding team around middle of the pack, but they shoot well from free throw. They win against tough teams like Kansas. But that, again, was with Warren Washington on the floor, shutting down Hunter Dickinson. DJ Burns will have his chance to eat if Warren Washington is not playing. I don't want to pick this game because both Darian Williams and Warren Washington are game time decisions. I will say now that if both of those players play, Texas Tech wins. So I will take Texas Tech. However, I don't think they win if either one of those players misses. And there's a serious chance that happens.
That is essentially how I feel, because we've talked about Pop Isaacs on this channel before. Pop Isaacs can shoot you out of a game because he is not very effective from the floor. He's not very efficient, and yet he's their leading scorer. With Darian Williams there and Warren Washington, they're able to balance it out, and they also play outstanding defense. So if they're game time decisions, I think they're going to play. Warren Washington, like Austin said, was practicing with the team. He didn't play at all in the conference tournament, and he hasn't played in weeks. And Darian Williams just recently got hurt against Baylor. Or was it Baylor? Or no, against Houston. And so with injuries right now, it's really unfortunate that Texas Tech. It's really unfortunate because they're a really, really good team. I still think they win this game. Because
NC State or Texas Tech?
Texas Tech, because Kerwin Walton has shown that he can score a little bit, and Pop Isaacs can win them games sometimes. And if they this game needs to have an asterisk in our bracket because it depends on the decision if they're hurt or not. And so um, I think NC State is a trap Cinderella because they have been they weren't really in the light until recently. But everyone is all of a sudden becoming aware of DJ Burns, and that annoys me because anybody who watches basketball last year knows that NC State made the tournament largely because of DJ Burns and Terquavion Smith. And so DJ Burns has been a good player. And so I this is a tough one to pick. This is a very tough one to pick. And they are the hot hand.
But
The hot hand.
that's true. They won 5 games in 5 days, but they were 4-10, 4-10 before the conference tournament. The last 14 games before the conference tournament, they were 4-10. So I think fully healthy Texas Tech wins.
Fully healthy Texas Tech wins. But the question is, are they going to be fully healthy? And Warren Washington hasn't played in a month. So I'm going to go ahead and bank on the fact that Texas Tech is going to be healthy. Or not necessarily healthy, but the players are going to play. And so I'm going to pick Texas Tech.
Okay. Well, yeah. I was gonna add. I did just get a phone call from a Red Raider, so yeah, Texas Tech.
Sounds good.
Who's the Red Raider, Kev?
The mascot, Red Raider.
Oh. You didn't
I
pick
didn't
up?
I didn't know you
No, it
were
was a
so
quick phone
famous.
call. Yeah. Well, I've been to Lubbock. Lubbock's a chill town, so met him there. Might go again. We'll see. But let's get back on track as we head over onto Kentucky versus Oakland.
Kentucky's a better team.
I
I
know
like Oakland as
Austin.
a 14 seed. Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I know Austin likes Oakland.
They're a good team. I really do like Oakland. Of the 14 seeds, they're probably my favorite. Trey Townsend is extremely good, averaging 17 and 8 on decent splits. I they have they're another great uh, when they're starting lineups on the court. They're good at rebounding. The problem is that their bench is not as good. It can they stop the plethora of players that can score the ball for Kentucky? I'm going to say no, but I do think Kentucky's ceiling is capped because they have four freshmen who they play a lot, three freshmen who start. And I know they're not playing like freshmen, as Jake likes to say, but the experience matters.
I agree. And with the fact that the experience matters, and freshmen, no matter how good they are in the regular season, struggle a little bit in March. Um, but I do think these freshmen are built a little bit different, and I do think this is the best Kentucky team we've seen since the De'Aaron Fox Malik Monk years. Um, that's a team that went to the Elite Eight, um, and so I'm having Kentucky win this game because I think they're really, really good. But there are some questions that we're going to have to raise later on.
All right, so we got Kentucky. Now we go Florida, and then the winner of Boise State or Colorado. I know my pick.
Tell us.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Kevin,
Number
what's your
10,
pick?
the 10 seed. 10
Who, do,
seed,
who, who will it
not
be, in
Florida.
your opinion?
I'll go Boise State.
So, Kevin, that's a pretty good pick. Florida, in any other instance, I would have Florida winning this game. But today, Micah Hanlogton, one of their primary rebounders, fractured his leg in the conference championship. That stinks pretty bad. Um, and so they're gonna be weak now on the interior. While their guard play is very inconsistent, they've been good recently, but they're inconsistent. Um, I think Boise State versus Colorado is a stupid first four matchup. Both of these teams should have been ranked, or they should have been seeded. They didn't. Both of these teams did not deserve to be pushed all the way down to the first four. Um, Colorado State is hot right now, so that's why I'm going to pick them to beat Boise State.
You mean
Um,
Colorado, right?
it's tough. Did I say Colorado State?
Yeah, you said Colorado State.
Oh well, it is Colorado. I knew who I was talking about. I just said the wrong name. Colorado is really hot right now. They got Lampkin. Uh, they got Simmons, and they have Simpson. And so those are three guys who are really good, and they're a kind of a hot hand. But Boise State's really good too. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to. I think Boise State wins this game, and Boise State goes on to beat Florida.
I completely agree. Tyson Degahart is an amazing player. He's averaging 17 and 6 this year with over a steal per game, while also averaging a very good percentages, 51% from the field. He's been to the tournament all 3 years. This is his third year. The last 2 years, though, he's lost in the first round. I don't think that happens here. I think they end up beating Colorado, and that kind of catapults them into beating a Florida team that's injured.
Yeah, sorry. I'll get to who I was talking to on the phone later on in the video, so that's a tease for you. But let's go right now. Marquette versus Western Kentucky.
Marquette.
Marquette wins this. Marquette proved that they can win basketball games without Tyler Kolek. I even like them a little better without Tyler Kolek, which is kind of crazy to say. But it seems like their offense and defense meshed very, very well without him on the floor. Not to say that they don't with him on the floor, but they seem to be able to handle tough environments. Now, the Big East matchups that they had were not the most competitive until UConn, where they got demolished. Did they get demolished by UConn? I'm pretty sure they did in the final.
Yes, Marquette.
It was
They
pretty
got
handily,
demolished.
yeah.
Yeah, and so they're kind of a weak 2 seed right now, especially with Kolek. He's probably going to be back, but he's coming back from an injury. We'll see how they handle his injury, but they're gonna win the first round. But yeah, they're gonna win the first round.
All right. So now we got Marquette versus Boise State in our predictions. Who wins this?
Jake?
Yeah, I don't like Marquette again. It's weird. I thought I was going to like them. Going into this season, I thought Marquette was going to be a Final Four team. But they have been weak lately, and they struggle against high pace offenses. Now, I don't know how much of a high pace or slow pace Boise State is, but they play really good defenses in the Mountain West. They play New Mexico, they play San Diego State, they play Utah State, they play Colorado State, and so I don't know. This one is a little tough for me. Marquette lost in this scenario last year to Michigan State. I think they win this one. I think Marquette wins this one and moves on to the Sweet 16. Which is kind of odd because normally I think they played very, very well without Kolek. And they were able to grind out wins. But I worry about Boise State. They're not the hottest right now. And Iguodaro is really good on the interior and can handle a guy like Degenhart. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Marquette.
This is really
Austin.
tough. This is really tough. I want to go Boise State. I think I'm going to end up going with Jake here and taking Marquette. It's tough for me, but I think Marquette's proven a lot over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I had to leave again for a different phone call just to explain that I'm picking Marquette, even though I talked to a Boise alum. But yeah, Marquette. Now we go to Kentucky versus Texas Tech.
How
How do
healthy
you
is
feel,
Texas
Austin?
Tech? How healthy is Texas Tech?
Well, Texas Tech was healthy in our first round, and so that means they're healthy in our second, and I think they move
Would
on.
they?
I agree.
Like, would they be after a tough first game?
Yep, I think it's fair to assume that if they win against NC State, that they ended the game healthy, and if they end the game healthy, I think Texas Tech beats Kentucky.
I think so too.
Okay.
But we could see a scenario where NC State's in this position. And in that scenario, Austin, I would like to ask, does Kentucky beat NC State or does NC State beat Kentucky?
That's a good question. I think I'm going to go Kentucky. Again, NC State was 4-10 in their 14 games before the conference tournament. I'm not that confident. The ACC is not the strongest conference in the world. Kentucky plays better teams.
It's true.
I agree. I
So,
pick Kentucky there for that one. So in the scenario that we find out that Texas Tech does not have everybody healthy, Kentucky moves on to the Sweet 16 here. But for now, they are healthy. And so they move on.
all right. Red Raiders do not get to embrace the madness. They go home sad. Now we got Duke versus James Madison.
Whew. I'm gonna let Austin state his case here. He likes James Madison.
James Madison plays three players that are 6'8" and taller. They have the size to end up contesting a guy like Filipowski. Filipowski gets in his own head consistently. If this is a close game, I could see Duke crumbling. I'm going to go James Madison.
That's not crazy, and I don't like that. That's not crazy. Um, there's a thing. Uh, you know, Duke is Duke. Um, James Madison is burst on the scene this year in a pretty weak conference, to be honest. But earlier in the season, they beat Michigan State in the first round or in the first game of the season. They win a lot. They score the ball a lot. They hit a lot of their shots. They are also they also don't give up threes. Um, and I agree that Filipowski gets in his own head and Duke shoots themselves in the foot a lot. But I feel like they could have a little bit of a fire after losing to NC State in their first matchup of the ACC tournament. But how do I feel overall? This is a tough one, but I might have to pick James Madison here too. Um, it's 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 kind of odd how often me and Austin are agreeing tonight. Um, but we like this James Madison team. It's the year for the Cinderella, maybe, and for some reason Duke seems kind of weak this year. And one of their leading scorers is Jared McCain, who's a freshman, and we reiterated already, we don't like freshmen in March. But Jeremy Roach is there, Proctor's there. They seem not to be able to mesh amazingly well, and so I'd have to go with James Madison, who is a high intensity team.
All right. Yeah, I don't like Duke. Duke's, we've talked about the ACC. It's not really a tough conference. And now I can assume we're all picking Houston over A&M, correct?
A&M has too many flaws. Houston's, I think, the best defense in the country. If not, they're still number two, and they just run A&M out of the building.
I agree. I completely agree with that.
All right. So does Houston get past James Madison?
This is where James Madison's road ends.
James Madison has never seen a team, never seen even remotely a team that is this good on defense. I don't care if James Madison has the 12th best offense in the country or a top 20 offense in the country. It is, yeah, they're the 20th best offense in the country by offensive rating. They score the ninth most points per game, but Houston will half those points.
Yeah, Houston wins this game. Um, it shouldn't be close. Um, James Madison's just going to lose. They're not conditioned for the way Houston plays defense, and so Houston wins this one.
Now, Kentucky versus Marquette.
It's Texas Tech.
It's Texas Tech. We picked Texas Tech.
Oh, I thought you picked Kentucky.
In the event
No.
that Texas Tech is not healthy,
Yeah, so we picked Texas Tech. It's Texas Tech versus Marquette.
Okay, so it's Texas Tech versus
we're,
Marquette.
we're
Okay,
assuming they're healthy.
Yes, under the
Got
case
it.
that they are healthy, we're taking Tech, and we believe they're healthy.
Okay.
They beat NC State, so we're taking Tech.
You're taking Tech. Okay, are you taking Tech again? So my
Yes.
bad on that.
Yes,
We are
Okay.
taking. We are
I
taking.
Tech.
don't like Marquette as much as I thought I would, just
Okay.
like Jake said. And considering the fact that Texas Tech in this instance would have basically 5 days, basically a week, to get ready for this, I think they'll be healthy again. They'll be ready, and I really do like this team when they are all playing.
I agree.
All right, so the city of Lubbock was not sad, or I thought they were sad because I thought they got knocked out, but they're back, and now they're facing Houston. We got a battle of Lubbock, the people of Lubbock versus the large metroplex of Houston, and their respective colleges. So, who's the winner?
This might be the game, if healthy. This might be the game of the tournament. Texas Tech is a better offensive team than Houston. Houston is a way better defensive team, but that doesn't mean Texas. But Houston's still a good offensive team, and Texas Tech is still a good defensive team. I think Texas Tech's road ends here. This is the best Houston team we've seen in a long time. That includes last year with Marcus Sasser, and they didn't even have him for the tournament, and which is a shame. And so I think they have a chip on their shoulder. I think they got something to prove. I think Kelvin Sampson is a phenomenal coach. They just got demolished in the Big 12 championship, but I think that's you can't get worse than that for them. And so I think they're going to come out with a little bit of a fire. And so I think Houston wins this and goes to the Final Four.
The question you really have to ask yourself, and anyone else who's going to answer this question, Texas Tech or Houston, is can Houston beat them 3 times? They beat them twice already, once during the regular season, once during the conference tournament. Can you win a 3rd time? I could see this going either way. Just for the sake that I want Kevin to kind of decide this, I'm going to go Texas Tech.
You know, you make a good point, Austin, about Texas Tech in the 3rd time. But then you got Houston, then you're bringing in health for Texas Tech. Ah, man. I don't like having another number 1 seed, but Houston has a great defense. You think they have the best defense. So I think I'm going to pick Houston.
A lot of deja vu. A lot of deja vu.
So there's our first
question.
There's our
Wait.
first seed.
How? Okay. Before I finish, lock in the pick.
Mm-hmm.
On a feeling of picking this, Austin, is this a similar feeling to San Diego State?
It's deja vu. It's major deja vu because of how you responded to my question I asked you. Because last time when I asked you, you were like, you make great points, but I'm choosing the other
Yeah.
team. And that was the same thing you said here.
So
I'm catching deja vu. That's all I'm going to say. You know my pick, Kevin.
All right, I'm going to switch it up.
Here's the thing, Kevin. Texas Tech is a phenomenal team, but we should not compare them to San Diego State last year. They are far and away.
No, but the thing is, I'm talking about Austin and his feeling. He's getting deja vu, which makes me think.
Well, here's the thing. San Diego State didn't play a defense like Houston, and Pop Isaacs stinks against good defenses. And Austin and I have witnessed this. He doesn't stink, but he struggles, and he's not as efficient from the field. And so against a defensive team like Houston, because of how often he shoots the shot, they're going to be down, and he could effectively shoot them out of the game by missing shots. And even with Warren Washington in the interior with Jawan Roberts, and even with Darian Williams out there against LJ Cryer, you still got Jamal Shedd, and you still got their other guards. And so I think this defense is just too much for Pop Isaacs to handle. And I think Texas Tech's offense gets a big blow here against Houston's defense.
We're back in like mediation right now. Austin, on Garrett Cole's arm, his elbow specifically, do you like you're gonna pick Texas Tech?
I'm not gonna. You know my pick, Kevin. I
Okay,
picked Texas Tech,
but I'm just saying, do you like your belief? That's your pick with Garrett Cole's elbow on the line.
I'm trying to make a perfect bracket, Kevin. When I am
Okay.
making this pick, I'm making it in the sense of I'm trying to do the best pick possible. Now, I'm not
Okay.
absolutely sold on many of these picks that we have to make because they are so close. But if I had to pick fully healthy Texas Tech, a team that in this case would be extremely hot, they had a much better record this year with Warren Washington healthy. Can Houston beat them a third time? That's the question I have to ask everyone listening. If you are also struggling with this decision, because if you look back, it is very hard to see just all time for a team to win 3 times, especially when that third game happens in a tournament. I agree partially with what Jake has to say regarding Pop Isaacs. He can shoot them out of the game, but fully healthy, he doesn't take as many shots. When everyone's healthy, there's a little bit more of the ball spread around, and I'm confident that Texas Tech could overcome a team that's already beat them twice this year.
This is a tough one.
I would like to say, though, like Jake
That's
said,
a really good point.
I would like to say, though, this is not San Diego State last year. Like, that San Diego team last year was that good on defense to where I'd be confident that they could overcome any offensive issues that they may have had against a good defensive team. This Texas Tech team needs more of a perfect storm for everything to go right. But I still, like I said, I'm not changing my pick. I believe in Texas Tech, and I would have to win this game.
Yeah. I think I might change it up. Because you bring up the point, like, if they're healthy, it'd be their third time, and that's really tough. So let's go Red Raiders, Texas Tech, back to the Final Four.
For the record, like, if I look at my phone on Wednesday night and I see a report that says Warren Washington and Darian Williams are playing, I might pick them to go to the Final Four. Because Austin is so right about them as a team. And it's a tough decision to make because I don't like Houston's offense, but I love their defense. And I definitely think Texas Tech has a far better offense. And Houston in big game scenarios just showed the world that they might struggle. And so as of right now at this moment, I'm picking Houston. But if I look at my phone early on in this week and I see Warren Washington and Darian Williams are fully healthy, no reserves, like they're playing, I think I'm also going to have them going to the Final Four.
The problem is, if I get a text tomorrow or see something tomorrow and they are guaranteed out, I'm going to be having some serious regrets about this pick.
Well, I think we could change it, correct? Given that information and what we've said on this.
Yeah, I definitely think we could. If it comes out, I think we could. So we would take, it would be Marquette versus Kentucky. I'd probably take Kentucky, right?
Yes.
And then Houston versus Kentucky, I'd take Houston.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
So I think that would
so
be
that's
our
it for the listener.
Yeah. If you see our bracket
and we'll
change,
tweet about it.
Yep. But right now,
follow our
we're
socials.
Taking Texas Tech to the Final Four.
Rendering that they are healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll account for that. What's up, y'all? Thank you for listening. This is, again, Kevin after recording. Now, before you can see our champion and how we did the bottom part of the bracket, specifically the Purdue that is much hated by this podcast, as we are not fans of the Big Ten, make sure to check out that video. Don't forget to compete against our bracket. I cannot stress this enough. We want you to compete. We want you to win if you can, because it'd be really fun you can create your own liner, and we also want to beat you. So please join the link. It's in the description. Password, WriteYourStory. capital W, capital Y, capital S. Thank you for bearing with us, and please check out part 4 in the next video. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.